Are we live? I think I am. Okay, let me double check things, make sure everything is good to go. Looks like it is. All right. Excuse me. We got a lot to discuss. Yeah, Nintendo is I'm gonna say Nintendo's back in various ways. Nintendo is back in one way, as in they're being mighty aggressive in delivering on content and providing an experience for the Nintendo community, as well as prospective people who may be wanting to get a Nintendo device, and they also being aggressive and showing who Nintendo really is. Oh man, the prices. Good lord. So we're gonna get into it. Let me go ahead and tweet this out real quick. Okay. Oh yeah, I need to put this on crap. I need to put this on Blue Sky. I can't ignore Blue Sky. Let me make sure that is there as well, and then we're going to get into it. And done. All right, so let's discuss this Nintendo live stream. Went live at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got a lot of information out here. Some things that were shown that was not actually said in the stream, and I think that was on purpose. Well, it clearly was on purpose, but I think that was by design, because they did not want to have any negatives or direct negatives that were glaring and obvious negatives with their live stream, which is the price. So the console, the new Nintendo Switch 2, will be launching on June 5th, and it will be $449.99. And that's US dollars, so that's $450. $50 more than what I said it would be. I don't remember what Forte said. I think Forte may have said $450. He may have had some inside information and didn't want to tell me, which is crazy, because yeah, anyway. So that said, I think $450 is a decent price, especially for what they provided. Now, we'll get into the pricing of other things, because good grief, that's not at least I would say from myself, I don't think that's worth of the prices that we're seeing. But again, price is subjective, value is subjective. So what someone is willing to pay for a game, or even a particular kind of game, that's up to them. But I think that, and not just I think, it is pure, economics, that the higher you make a price, the less people are interested in the demand goes down. So that's something that you do at your own risk. Shout out to Sunny Slim. What's up, man? How's it going, bro? Let's get into everything that was shown here. So like Mario Kart World was the now I'll restart this. Mario Kart World was the first game shown. It looks good. I mean, look, I'm not a huge Mario Kart fan or anything. I haven't even played Mario Kart 8, and that thing has sold over 60 million copies, was on the Wii U as well as the Nintendo Switch. And I have the game, but my kids play it. I do not play it. But what they showed with Mario Kart World looked good. It looks like that's going to be a more open world kind of game, clearly, from what they showed with this huge map. And yes, Sonny, I agree. Looks like they did take a lot of cues, a lot of inspiration from Forza Horizon. But like that said, that makes it more of a live service kind of thing. So maybe that is why the pricing of this game is what it is. For those who don't know, the Mario Kart World's going to be $80 digital and $90 physical. Wild. I mean, based off of like what a standard price game is right now, it's usually $70. Physically, that's a $20 price increase. You could say that Nintendo wants to try to push people more towards digital, which is why last week when they did their Nintendo Direct last week, they started talking about virtual cards. They talked more about sharing games with people in this live stream digitally, by the way. It seems as if Nintendo is I mean, they're not basically saying we ain't doing physical no more, but they're trying to get their community to go more towards the physical the digital than the physical. And Nintendo probably has the most aggressive split between digital to physical out of all the consoles that are out there. Xbox is far more on the digital side. PlayStation is like in the middle. Nintendo is far more on the physical side. It seems as if they definitely want people to go towards digital now. They're creating avenues to make it easier to share games. They're trying to do that, but also they are pricing it cheaper on digital than physical. That price, $90 for Mario Kart World, wow, especially considering that the entire game likely isn't even on the cart. You're going to have to, the cartridge. You're going to buy that, you're going to put that in, and then have to do a download. Crazy that like that's the price. For me, that's ridiculous. I ain't played Mario Kart 8, so you already know, like for me, this wasn't a game that I'm interested in. But you're going to get less people who are going to spend money on this game due to that kind of pricing. Even digital being $10 more than the usual price is of $70 is wild in itself. Sunny Slim says, I don't think Mario Kart will require a download. I mean, we'll have to see, but I do think it probably will require a download. What's up, Lucius? Lucius says, new Donkey Kong, $70 digital, $80 physical. That does seem to be, now that, what may be happening here is that Mario Kart World is being priced differently than what everything else on the Nintendo Switch 2 will be priced. So maybe the pricing is going to be $80 physical for a cartridge, for a Nintendo Switch 2 cartridge, but digital, the typical standard price of full price games as of today of $70 is what will be reflected going forward. So for example, we saw Borderlands 4 being available on there's going to be a launch title on the Switch 2 as well as it is going to be on the Xbox Series consoles, on PS5 and on PC. They think about it like this. A Switch 2 has more portability, but it's not going to be as performant as those other platforms. And it's not going to look as good as those other platforms. So you got lower frame rates, worse visuals. Imagine like some of the reports that are out there that all digital games on the Switch 2 would be $80. That would make no sense. Why would I pay $10 more to play this game digitally, Borderlands 4, for example, on the Switch 2, when on Xbox, on PlayStation, and PC is $70? That would be Nintendo shooting themselves in the foot. So it does make sense that all games are going to be $70 digital, $80 physical. Not sense as in it's a good idea, but sense as in that's what they're doing. And that may also be subject to change, as it does look like what they're doing with Mario Kart 8 might set a precedent where other games in the future from other big time games that people know are going to sell big copies like GTA 6 are going to be, for the standard price, much higher than what is typically considered standard, which is $70. The Donkey Kong game is going to be $70 digital, $80 physical. More than likely, well, I don't know about this From Software game because it's exclusive. We'll have to see, but I think this is somewhat interesting, and Nintendo needs to do some clarification there. So, but we can move on to the next thing. So the next thing they showed was what the C button was for. So all last week, people were seeing that, like, the screenshots they were showing of the Switch 2 had on the Joy-Con, the right Joy-Con, a C button. So people was like, yo, what is that C button about? And so now we know what that's about. It's about, the C is for chatting. It is for a new game chat function that will allow other players on Nintendo. So you have to have the Nintendo Switch Online subscription service, but now all these players can then join into party chat, and honestly it looked a lot like Discord. I made a joke on Twitter that said, Discord right now is doing the whole meme, they stole my whole flow kind of thing, because it does look very much like Discord, just with as far as the stream quality of the actual game goes, far less clarity on the visuals. But just, this is actually something that you don't get really with I don't know, PlayStation might do this. I never get into PSN chat. I don't know if you can stream maybe someone in the chat knows if you can stream your gameplay to a party chat through PSN party chat. I know you can't do that with Xbox Live Party Chat, but I don't know about PlayStation. But this is definitely a massive improvement from not having any kind of party chat whatsoever when you have multiplayer games like they did with the Switch 1. That was a huge issue. People did a lot of complaining about it. They addressed that. Now, that said, although they addressed that, what has not been addressed is that your Switch ID is still like a long social security number. Like, that's, like, people don't like that either. It's much easier to remember. Like, I don't know what my Switch ID is. I gotta go look that thing up and give it to somebody. And if I, as an adult, don't remember those numbers, you damn sure know some kid don't remember those numbers. It would be easier to just have a Switch ID, which is something they don't quite have yet. Maybe it's a database administration issue. Maybe they the way they built their database was done probably not done efficiently the way PlayStation did initially, and they gotta go back and make changes. Maybe that's something that's in the works in the future, but it's not there right now. I do think that's a problem. Also, they never said whether you can text people or not. I think messaging is that's some basic ass functions that's been in consoles for forever. That needs to be addressed. I mean, honestly, okay, Gregor says you can, since PS4, I guess, are you talking about being able to share your screen to people on PSN, Gregor? If that is the case, good. Okay, all right. So they were on par. If that is the case, they were on par with PlayStation. But that's better than what you get from Xbox. What's up, Brian? Gregor says on PS4 you can stream within the party, but if you watch, that's all you can do. On PS5 you can watch the stream while you play. Okay, cool. Okay, all right. So what they're doing now is on par with what is PlayStation has. But this is far and away better than basically telling people, like they did with the Switch, to use your own cell phone. Anytime you have to tell someone to use a device that ain't got nothing to do with you to be able to have basic functions that your competitors have, that's a L. So this is good. This is an improvement upon that. That said, messaging, your actual unique names for Switch IDs, real usernames, these things still need to be addressed. Nintendo needs to do something about that. Now, let's talk about the Switch features of the hardware itself. The company, they did an overview of all the console features. They went over a lot, but to break it down, what's different for the Switch 2 compared to the regular Switch is that dock is more than just the dock. It's actually helping provide more performance with the Switch 2 itself. So you're getting dock, 4K HDR support, you're getting and up to 60 frames per second. Now, by the way, this is a console, so all of this is real dynamic, right? Like, it ain't real 4K. This is a NVIDIA APU. It's a 3050 RTX 3050 mobile APU, which is actually a RTX 2000 series architecture. It is capable of doing some DLSS and doing some good things. We'll see how it goes once it comes out and we see tech tubers get their hands on it and start testing some things. But the target of docked 4K is good, because it ain't gonna reach 4K for a lot of games. They may have some games where it reaches 4K, but those games are like really easy to play and really easy on the hardware. For a game like Elden Ring, which has been announced for it, that's not gonna run docked at 4K. That's not happening. Definitely not at 60 frames per second. It's definitely not happening with From Software. If you know, you know. Their optimization is absolute dog water. So that's not happening. Yeah, Brian, DLSS, it wasn't stated in the live stream, but it is the APU that they have inside of this Switch 2 is capable of DLSS. So therefore it should be there, and that should be part of the reason why it works. But we will see, it is capable of doing these things, but we will see tech tubers get into the weeds with that at a later date as more information comes out. On handheld mode, they said they have provided a 1080p screen. It is at 120 hertz, so that's something that me and Forte and shout out to Game Logic were discussing last week, and we were a little iffy on whether that was actually true or not. Apparently those rumors were true. Also though, 1080p, 120 hertz, 120 frames per second handheld, we have to also not necessarily take it with a grain of salt, but understand that's not guaranteed for every game. There will be some games that might be able to do that, but like with the regular Nintendo Switch that was 720p, a 720p screen, the vast majority of those games never even touched 720p for a second in resolution. And so you kind of gotta understand what the hardware is capable of, and that these are targets, but not necessarily guaranteed measurements that you're going to get for every game. They've improved the Joy-Cons, but the Joy-Cons also do not have Hall effect thumbsticks. That's the issue. That's the issue for me, because Hall effect, the Joy-Cons on the original Switch were the cheaply made, cheap thumbsticks that drifted very easily. Hall effect at this point now is not expensive to implement. There are various different, there are about at least 3 different versions of Hall effect thumbsticks that you can put in, and the cheapest of them is still better for not having a thumbstick, a joystick drift issue. So that's problematic. Now, if you have high quality, I forgot the name of the way the thumbsticks are for the Switch, and then like the default Xbox and PlayStation controllers, but it's not guaranteed you're gonna get stick drift, especially if the controller, the thumbsticks are of a higher quality within that technology, but it's still far more likely to get stick drift than not, and that's a problem. I think that needs to be addressed. Although they did show a Switch 2 Pro controller. I think that might have Hall effect. I know it has back paddles on it, which back buttons on it, which I like. But I'll get into that later. There's multiple USB ports here, where there's an actual real kickstand at launch, which is great, and you can kind of like play the game without the dock, plug it USB-C into the wall to give it power, and then you can play it like, say with the Joy-Cons attached or with a Switch Pro controller, which is awesome, right? Ramon, what's up, Ramon? It was 4K 30-ish. Yeah, more than likely, if a game's pushing 4K, docked, it's probably gonna be closer to the 30 frames per second side than the 60 FPS side, but that's still an improvement off of what we dealt with before with the original Switch, where very rarely did you get 60 FPS, and a lot of times you were struggling to stay at 30. So, you know, it is what it is. I said the release date was June 5th. So, Switch 2 enhanced games. So there are games that were, for the broad majority of the Switch 1 games, they are backwards compatible on the Switch 2. So if you have a Switch and you got, for example, Zelda Breath of the Wild, that game is playable on your Switch 2, but they now have an enhanced version of that game that I don't know if they actually talked about the exact price, because here's another issue I got with the show. Pricing seemed to be completely, absent at all stages of this entire hour event. But an enhanced version of Breath of the Wild that looks better, and this is also part of the reason why they basically assassinated all of the emulators on PC out there, because here you have enhancements that probably are better, definitely better than what you got on the original Switch, but may not be as good as what you would get on Yuzu or whatever other emulator that was out there on PC. They got rid of them, but also due to the fact that what they're doing with pricing, they know far more people are going to be far more likely to go try to emulate these games instead of paying the kind of egregious pricing that they're trying to do on this stuff. But what they did show was Mario Party Jamboree is going to be enhanced. Like I said, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are going to be enhanced. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Metroid Prime 4, which isn't out yet, but when it does come out, there will be a version for the Switch 1, and there will be a version for Switch 2, as well as for the same for Pokemon Legend ZA. So if you're interested into those kind of games, then like if you get a Switch 2, you can get the enhanced version for whatever price that ends up being. For Smoking says it also showed it looks like you can switch your resolution output in the settings. True. Yes, it did show that. So those are kind of options that you get on your Xbox and your PlayStation, where you can lock a certain resolution. And so I do wonder if the frame rates for these games are going to be unlocked. I asked that because if the frame rates are unlocked, then if you lock your resolution for 1440p, maybe you could kind of squeeze a little bit more frames out of that when you're playing docked or undocked or whatever, right? And so, or maybe, you play on a trash TV and TV's 1080p, so you don't give a damn about 4K. You just lock it to 1080p, and even docked on your trash 1080p TV that just so happens to do 120 hertz refresh rate, then you can get more performance out of it docked, whatever, right? You have these options, which is good. That is good that they do that. But again, I know some people will be like, well, slow-mo, this is the basic stuff that everybody's been doing, so what's the big deal? That what I will say about that is that Justified Smoke, when they didn't have these things, when they didn't have backwards compatibility, when they didn't have these kind of options for resolutions, when they didn't have a lot of the games that were coming, that have already been out for other platforms, when they didn't have game chat, or being able to stream games to your friends within game chat. Justify Smoke for not having these basic social features that every other platform out there already been had. That said, when they do get them, I do not like seeing people then moving the goalposts to, well, you should have been had that. So what are you complaining about? Are you mad that it took forever to get there? Or are you happy that it's here, then you can enjoy these things? It seems like a lot of people are just complaining just to complain. They're just whining just to whine about certain things. I am all for giving people, giving platforms credit when it's due, when they do what people ask for. When people ask for certain things, and if I'm playing Splatoon I should be able to communicate with the people that I'm playing with through your damn device, not through Discord on my phone. You address that, I gotta give you props. So there's that. About the game chat though, I gotta call cap on some of the features that they claim will be there. For example, the noise cancellation. I got noise cancellation earbuds. I got noise cancellation a lot of audio devices. What they showed in the stream was cap. Ain't no way in hell that with it docked. I understand it if you're playing it handheld and literally the microphone that's at the top of the Switch 2 is right there. Sure, people can hear you clearly because it's literally right in your face. But when it's across the room and you're sitting on your couch and your TV is like with a coffee table and some space away from you, do not tell me I'm super clear from across the room. And also don't tell me if somebody's in the kitchen on a blender making a smoothie that they can't hear that shit. That's bullshit. If they can hear me, they're gonna hear that motherfucking blender. Cut the cat. That's nonsense. Nintendo is full of shit for that. Ain't no way they got technology that good in this Switch 2 and you making it 450. You're full of it. So, something says DLSS slow-mo. What's going on? I think everything was good except the pricing is right. They showed the screen sharing, that junk was 20. Yo, the screen share, yeah, the frame rate on the screen sharing was I mean single digits. And it was blurred, it was pixelated as hell. Like that's not like, if that's what you showing in stream, in actual performance, it's probably gonna be worse. So yeah, he says it says my RTX GPU uses hardware AI to filter out noise away from my mic, so it is fault. Yeah, okay, yes. NVIDIA does have what is it called? It's damn it, RTX. Well, you know what? Give me a second, because I have it available for myself. So let me see what this is called. NVIDIA Broadcast. And NVIDIA Broadcast does remove noise. It is I've had mixed results with that. At times it's worked well, and at other times it has like glitched out on me when this is on PC. So the thing is that even with that, considering where the microphone is still on the Switch 2, the way they showed it, think about like that. I can't know if I don't know where it is in the stream that I'm showing, but think about where that person was sitting and where the kitchen was, and how they tried to say, oh, you wouldn't hear nothing in the kitchen, but you hear the person clearly. Cat. NVIDIA's software is good. Cat. No, absolutely not. So now the guy was using a controller. I think he was using the Joy-Con, like the little, I hate that little thing where you just attach the Joy-Cons to it. It's too small for my big hands. But on the Switch Pro 2 controller, they did show that there was a chat button there, and I think a microphone on it. I'm not 100% certain. But if the microphone is on the controller, then that's fine. People can hear you. There's noise cancellation. Bet. I will be better with that than I would be that across the room the microphone's going to hear me clearly, but not hear all the outside noise. Bullshit. So yeah, not for that one. Now they showed a bunch of third-party games. All of them games that have done very well for the most part on other platforms, and they're going to do, and were not capable of being done. Well, some of them are brand new as well, but not capable of being done on a Switch 1 because it wasn't powerful enough. and now Switch 2 being a more powerful piece of hardware, we're seeing now, as we knew what would happen with third-party games, they're going to be available at launch and not a port later due to having to do a different version from a port studio to make it, to downsize it enough, to downscale it enough to be playable on the Switch. Now it's powerful enough to kind of, like, it's not going to be as good, clearly, and it's definitely going to be a different version of it, but the gap isn't so far now that you're not capable of actually even putting the game out there. And so some of the games I mentioned was Hades 2, which isn't out yet. It's in early access on PC. It's not available on PlayStation and on Xbox yet. So when this game has its full release, when this game has its official launch, it will also officially be launching on the Switch 2. Awesome. Hades 2 is great. I love Hades 1. It's my favorite roguelite. Hades 2 is very good. I've been playing it in early access. Everyone who likes roguelites is going to love it. It's an awesome game. Good addition. It's going to sell like crazy on the Switch 2. Elden Ring is going to sell like crazy on the Switch 2. This is an older game, clearly. Elden Ring came out like 3 years ago now. 4 years ago now. It's now available. Going to be available on the Switch 2. It's going to sell like crazy. I was thinking about buying Elden Ring on the Switch 2 as well when I finally get one, but considering how the pricing looking, just to make sure that like these games are regular price games and not up here to $80, $90. I'm not spending $80, $90 on a game I already own on multiple platforms. You can forget that. Street Fighter 6. Older game, now available on the Switch 2. Split Fiction came out a few months ago. Awesome game. Going to be in the Game of the Year conversation. Glad that the Nintendo has it. I'm glad Nintendo has now a game chat so you can communicate with the people that you're playing with in co-op. Perfect. Awesome. Game's going to do amazing on it. Hazelight has got a winner there. Madden NFL football, your new EA was going to start putting their sports games on there once the platform became more performant. EA, the FC football as well, which was probably the highest selling game that EA had last year. That's great. They're doing a enhanced version of Hogwarts Legacy. Bet. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 on there. I'm not a Tony Hawk, I don't care about skating games, but I know a lot of people love those games. That's there. Awesome. You got Hitman, World of Assassination. They announced that the 007 game that IO been talking about for years, and we ain't seen a screenshot of it, but they've been talking about it for years. Apparently that's going to be on Switch 2 as well. Bravely Default Remaster looks good. That's going to be there. And Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. In addition to, I'll get to the other games because there's other games that's coming too. But that's good. That's good. A lot of those games are older, but they weren't available on the Switch before. So you're someone who wanted to, or if you're someone who's primarily a Switch player, you play your games mostly on the Switch, you now have access to games that you probably hadn't already played yet. That's good. And a lot of those games are going to sell great on the Switch because, the Switch, you're coming from Switch 1, which is soon to be the most sold console ever, towards Switch 2. A lot of people will transition over. They did have, and this is exclusive to Nintendo Switch Online, but they now have Nintendo GameCube games going to Switch 2 available through the subscription service. They talked about Zelda Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, and F-Zero GX. I'm not interested in this, but there clearly going to be some people who are going to be interested in it. That's fine. 2K, Take-Two, to be clear, had a big presence at the show, talked about Borderlands 4. Yo, B, what's up, man? Ryan said no cloud announcement. I'll get to that, Ryan. Actually, I'll just say it now. Nothing Xbox related was shown at the show. Some people may take this as, ooh, everyone said that they would have a big presence on the Switch. Pump your brakes. The fact that 0 games from Microsoft were shown there, it does not mean that Microsoft is going to put their games there, especially considering they're doing everything they can to make sure their games go to PlayStation. More than likely, Microsoft probably told Nintendo, don't announce this here. We'll announce it all at our June showcase. Or they have a rollout plan, Nintendo that is, up into the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. There are multiple other live streams they're doing. They can clearly go into Microsoft's support as a third-party publisher on the Switch 2 at that point. So those, doing the whole victory lap, you might want to not do that and delete your tweets. Just saying. And more than likely, they're either going to talk about it at a later Nintendo Switch 2 live stream, which they got like 2 more to do before June, or at the June showcase when they talking about all these other games they got that are also going to PlayStation. They're going to talk about the Switch version too. So just shush on that, right? Take-Two/2K announced that Borderlands 4, which is going to be a big game this year, will be launching day and date on the Switch 2 as well. I mean, I'm playing it on PC, but it's got crossplay, so whatever. But that's good for it as well. Civilization 7 as well to the Switch 2, and WWE and NBA 2K are also coming to the platform. I would not play those games on the Switch 2, just simply because I hate the controller design and the way they flip the A and B button. I wouldn't, me personally, buy those games on there, but it's good they're going to be there. You're getting now, this is where we're talking about where people are trying to say, all they showed was old games. These are games that Take-Two haven't launched yet. These are games that Take-Two are dropping this year outside of GTA 6. This is their 2025 lineup minus GTA 6. In the Switch 2 is getting those games as well. So the whole thought that all they showed was old games is people just kind of capping and coping, but I will continue on. Cyberpunk, which is an older game, 5-year-old game that is, but also one of the highest sold games to come out in the past decade. One of the biggest games that's out there. Cyberpunk 2077 is coming to the Switch 2 as well. Will be released on the Switch 2 the same day as the console. If they had a Fire Emblem and I was buying it at launch, I would buy Cyberpunk just because I love Cyberpunk, but it's not. Silksong, Hollow Knight Silksong was shown. So everyone's been waiting for Silksong. They say it's still coming in 2025. Yeah, I don't believe that, but it'll be on the Switch. That's fine. And damn, this was a shocker. From Software is making an exclusive Souls-like game that will only be on the Switch 2, coming out next year in 2026, called the Dustbloods. That is going to sell so much, like so many copies. That's going to sell so many Switches, because now, coming off the strength of Elden Ring, FromSoft is a system seller at this point, and them getting exclusive and not say PlayStation getting an exclusive Bloodborne 2 or even a Bloodborne remake, or not even a damn 60 FPS patch on a Bloodborne. Wild, crazy. Let me just get on my soapbox real quick. I remember people telling me that exclusives didn't matter. Exclusives aren't important no more. We are now pushing toward a gaming industry where exclusives aren't needed, aren't necessary. Cat, cope, bullshit. Complete, utter bullshit. Nintendo believe in exclusives. I don't know what they gave From Software, but they got an exclusive game. An exclusive From Software game that no one else has. I dare somebody try to tell me that's not going to sell units of the Switch 2 for people to play that. You're full of shit. It's going to sell units, and that's why you got exclusives. Do you have to like it? No, but you need to accept it. And the people, not just some of people in the gaming the gaming community, but the very executives of platforms that speak on that and try to say exclusives aren't important. No, your exclusives aren't important. People aren't willing to buy hardware to play your exclusives. Just because your exclusives are important does not mean other exclusives are important. You just need to make better games. Now I'm off my soapbox. I will not be buying a Switch 2 at launch. When they get a Fire Emblem, I will buy a Switch 2. But if the Dusk Bloods comes out before Fire Emblem, I will buy a Switch 2 for that. That's how it works. Do you have to like it? No. But you have to accept it. Kirby Air Riders is a new Kirby racing game, a new game, for those who said there was no new game shown. That's coming to Switch 2. I don't care. I'm not going to play it. And then there was also a Donkey Kong, which is wild. A new Donkey Kong game, which look really good. I would say so. Called Donkey Kong Bonanza, and that's coming out July of this year. And that one actually is, as we said before, $70 and $80 for physical. So, I mean, all in all, a good show for content. And if you were a Nintendo Switch fan, you're really excited for what was shown. You're really excited for what they're providing. That said, let's talk about this pricing here, because let me find what because I had a breakdown of all the prices here. So this came from Wario64, which he got from the Nintendo Switch 2 US website. And it was updated with the pricing of a lot of the different accessories and so forth. I forgot that they show the camera, and they're going to have games that will use a camera in it, which is fine. That's great. Whatever, cool. If you're interested in that, I'm not. But that camera is the cheapest thing that they're shown. The camera is $50 US. The Switch 2 Pro controller, which when I do get a Switch 2, I'll be getting that $80. That's fine. The Switch 2 controller, the Pro controller has always been a well-made controller. $80 is pretty much standard for controllers right about now. You get trash Xbox standard controllers and a DualSense controllers around that same price. This is good. Controller and they don't come with back buttons. And I need to double check. I wonder if the Switch 2 Pro controller has let's see if it has Hall effect stick. It's USB-C charging, which I expected. HD Rumble 2, motion controls, a capture button, the C button for game chat, an audio jack for hit. I do not see. Oh man, I don't see Hall effect. I don't see Hall effect thumbsticks. That's an L. I mean, the thing is that I may just go through a third-party controller then that does do Hall effect, because those would be available for the Switch too. But whatever. The Joy-Cons themselves, if you want to buy separate Joy-Cons, $90. And the dock itself, if you want to buy an extra dock, let's say, because again, for those in the back who thought that they were going to sell a version of this, that they were going to have a SKU for the Switch 2 that did not have a dock, you were wrong. You took a L. Hold that. You can only buy a Switch 2 with a dock. That said, if you are going to be the kind of household that's going to have, say, one Switch Or maybe let's say you buy a Switch for yourself, but then you buy a Switch for the kids. And I don't know, maybe you want an extra dock. You want to put a dock in one kid's room and another dock in another kid's room, and then you can just move it from place to place, whatever, you know. You get a separate dock for $110. That kind of goes to show, or if you need a replacement dock in case it breaks or something, but your Switch 2 is fine on its own. But that does kind of go to show that this Switch 2 dock is doing far more than what the original Switch dock was doing. That thing was a cheap piece of crap. This one seems to be far more advanced there. Enon63 says Switch 2 would be the best gaming console. Hey, you know, Nintendo's definitely trying to get it that way. They're definitely trying to work towards that. If I was just a console gamer, I probably wouldn't play there just due to, you know, my preferences. But it's definitely becoming a platform where you're not missing so much content, which is really good. But the pricing, and so this is where I want to kind of get into game prices, because it's hard. There's been so much like different from games media misinformation on what the prices are. I've seen that prices would be $60 for literally a website. I think it was Gamatsu had originally posted $60 for physical, and then like $70 for digital. And then we got Tom Henderson from Inside Gaming saying $80 for all digital games, $90 for all physical games. And then, but then we find out Donkey Kong is $70 digital, $80 physical. There's a lot of misinformation happening right now. And all that said, I do have to charge that to Nintendo's head, because you chose not to talk about pricing during your live stream. That may be due to tariffs or what's going on in the United States with tariffs. So you if you say, especially considering some of these tariffs may not come to pass, considering they're like the current administration in the United States put tariffs on Canada and then took it back. So maybe they wanted to be cautious on that. I understand that, but you need to put something out there where you are giving official information to games media so they can give accurate information to the gaming community, if you're not going to do it, that tells people what prices are going to be. Because as of right now, it's all over the place. And I think for certain, we could probably bank on, because I've seen it enough times now, that for your standard games, whether they be first party or third party, $70 digital, $80 physical, it's going to be that across the board, which I think still, I don't like it. The fact that you're charging people more for physical, I don't like it. I don't like it. And honestly, digital shouldn't be the price as it is anyway. For me personally, that and again, because I talk about how prices is subjective. There are going to be people who don't care and they're going to spend whatever, and there are going to be people who are going to be like, that's too rich for my blood, or I simply don't think the value of these games is worth the price, therefore I'm not going to spend that, period. And that both opinions are valid. It's about how you feel personally, what you feel is worth it to you. Now, I'll speak for myself. As I was watching the stream, you know, I saw some games I'd be interested in. Dust Bloods, abso-freaking-lutely. I'm buying it, you know, I'm getting it. I even said, you know, that's the one game that if it releases before a new Fire Emblem, I'm buying a Switch 2 for that. Other games I saw that were of interest to me are going to be available on other platforms, so I'm not going to get them there. But I did think about, you know, just having a version of Elden Ring and Cyberpunk on the go like that. You know, even though there's PC handhelds now, I could play Cyberpunk on a PC handheld right now. I could play Elden Ring on a PC handheld right now, but I was probably going to go pick that up on the Switch 2 as well. But now I'm not gonna, because of the pricing. Because I don't feel that's worth it to me. I'm not a big Mario Kart fan, so I didn't really care for Mario Kart, but I do know Mario Kart 8 sold 66 million copies on the Nintendo Switch. This looks like a live service version of Mario Kart that will get continued, consistent support from Nintendo from now until whenever they decide to stop supporting it, which would be years from now. I believe, and this is my opinion here, Nintendo priced it like this simply because they don't want to continue with physical indefinitely. They expect this game to be a game that's going to be supported from now until like 2030. But by 2030, they want far more of you on digital than physical. So they're not really trying to keep selling these things physical when they get you digital. And again, this is why they kind of improve some of the other social aspects and things that, you know, you get with digital that weren't quite there, but they need to do more. All in all, if I had to grade the live stream, and I typically how I don't like doing, when I do reviews of games, I don't like giving a score on games because people care more about the score than they care about with the content of your review than what you had to say. But I don't care as much when it comes to shows. So if I had to give this thing a grade, and the way I typically do it is that I start from 10 and I start to take points off based off of things I don't like. I do give them credit for addressing the lack of social features that were present in their platform before, but I feel like they didn't go far enough. I'm not knocking them for not having these things already, because that's silly, but I am knocking them for still not having the things that people want, which is Switch IDs, you know, unique usernames for their Switch IDs, text chat. These things, as far as we know, are not there because they didn't show it or tell us about it. And if they haven't shown us or told us about it, then more than likely it's not there. Until it's there, I'm not. I have to take it as it's not there. So that's a point off of that. I gotta take a point off for not having Fire Emblem. Look, this is my personal grade. You don't like it, kiss my ass. But I Fire Emblem is what I'm buying this thing for. And as of now, I will not be pre-ordering it. I will not be buying it at launch because I don't have Fire Emblem. And without Fire Emblem, I ain't playing nothing they showing. So that's another point off. And then I gotta take another point off due to the absolute, like, egregious pricing as far as I'm concerned, because when I do get it, I'm not buying games that I already have on other platforms because your pricing is out of whack. Think about that. Like, spending full price for games that are older on other platforms. And then if you want physical, you guys spend way more than what you spend at launch for those games to get it. That's no, not just no, hell no. Me personally, hell no, I'm not doing it. So that's another point off. That brings it down to a 7 out of 10. But I do have to give them props on securing an exclusive from a major developer, one of the hottest developers in the world with From Software. You got an exclusive out of them when PlayStation and Nintendo can't get that. And so that, I give you a point back for that, and therefore I give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's good. It was a good show. I think some things are problematic with Nintendo overall with the pricing, and we'll see more. But I think what you got here, if you're interested in the Switch 2, They're showing you some good stuff. Content wise, I think they delivered there. They showed you some games that they didn't have at launch due to limitations of the hardware they provided. They now have those games, and they're getting all the new third-party hotness that everyone else is getting. So now they're on par with everyone else, and they're providing exclusive content that you can't get anywhere else. It is what it is. So what you got saying in the chat here? Ramon says they get a 6 out of 10 for me because Canadian pricing. Oh yeah, that's even worse. Ryan says I bought Cyberpunk for $30 a few years ago. Right, look, Cyberpunk, I got Cyberpunk on PlayStation for like $15, $20 many years ago. When it first got put back on the store after it got taken off. I own Cyberpunk everywhere. Already. So, and it's been cheaper everywhere. Gregor says, with the bigger thumbsticks, will the Joy-Con still fit up that one journalist ass? Probably not. Actually, maybe it will, because if he's putting up a Joy-Con up his butthole, he's probably been putting other things up in there, and it's probably been stretched out enough to handle the bigger Joy-Con. Also, by the way, the screen, I forgot, the screen is now 8 inches instead of the 7-inch screen that the original Switch has. So that's good. Bigger screen, more real estate, and higher resolutions. That's great. Ryan says he's not buying that launch either. Hey, more power to you, sir. I salute you. Ramon, I said that earlier this morning. They're pushing everyone to digital, more like shoving. Yeah. Look, they're like, if you want us to keep making these little tiny ass cartridges, fine, but we're gonna charge you for it because we ain't trying to make these no more. But we're gonna charge you, and people gotta make that choice. Now, when you got kids, so this is why like they kind of created all these options for digital with kids. Because people go, but I got kids, and I want to play the game. But then my son wants to play the game, and now I gotta buy all these extra copies. So that's where they come up with virtual cards where you can share games and whatnot. Now, when it comes to say you want to play Mario Kart World with your kid on their Switch 2, more than likely you're probably going to have to buy an extra copy in that case. But when it comes to, hey, popping the cartridge out and handing it a copy of Kirby to your daughter so they can now play Kirby when you're not playing it, that was going to be a complaint when they're trying to push more towards digital. What they said, we ain't doing physical no more. It's done. We ain't doing that. That would be a complaint. And so they've already built in something where, all right, you can then give the virtual card to your daughter so your daughter can play it. And then after 2 weeks, you just renew that thing. You just keep renewing it, which I think is annoying, but that is an option. Or try to find options. By the way, something that I saw just a little while ago in regards to From Software and the Dust Bloods. The From Software Twitter account said that the Dust Bloods is a PvPvE focused multiplayer action title. Now, initially when I heard it was PvPvE, I was like, well, technically, all their games have PvP and co-op in them, like Demon Souls, all the Dark Souls games, except for Bloodborne and except for what's the name of the game? That one game of the year. Damn it. What's the name of that game? It's very parry heavy. Somebody in the chat help me. Well, they got 2 games that don't have multiplayer, really. Sekiro. Thank you, Gregor. Sekiro. Thank you. So, except for those 2 games, everything else has had multiplayer, and you know how they do multiplayer. It's so convoluted, like Elden Ring. You gotta throw your finger in the air, wave it around, you just don't care. Another person gotta write some on the dirt, some runes in the dirt. Then you gotta hope that they're convoluted trash multiplayer system, peer-to-peer systems can get it together, and then you got to put a code in, and then the whole other person got to put a code in. You got to make sure the codes are right. You got to be at the right grace, and then you got all that dumb shit that was annoying as hell. Okay, you said Bloodborne had PvP. Okay, all right, so just Sekiro. Sekiro's the only one that doesn't have it. That said, the way that they are describing the Dustbloods seems as if it's not necessarily Night Rain, which is coming out this year. Night Rain is basically if you played a From Software Souls game that was a battle royale. Like that's like if you watch some gameplay of it, that's what it is. You're like flying in on big ass birds like this is Lord of the Rings, and you drop down onto the map, and then you got a circle that's closing in. It's a battle royale. Is what it is. I don't think that's it. This though, but also this is going to be 8-player PvPvE. So I until we know more, what they showed looked very interesting, looked very, very good, and I'm interested in it. I'm going to get it. That said, I'm more curious on exactly what the gameplay design of this is, and if this is something, considering the fact that Night Rain is more multiplayer focused, and then now their very next game is more multiplayer focused. Are we now kind of transitioning from software from, is this now the evolution of what they do? They do more, and which I'm happy to have more traditional multiplayer elements where it's just easier to bring people in. But if it loses that single player difficulty, screw a difficulty slider of like easy, hard, whatever, bump all that. It's a Souls game. You know what you're getting into. Great boss fights, difficult boss fights. Pull your hair, it's going to take me a while to download this boss and figure them out kind of thing. I don't want them to lose what people come to them for. They are the subject matter expert at that kind of game design. I don't want them to lose that. Even if the Dustbloods isn't that, I'm not saying that this is definitely the direction they're going. I'm just saying the Dustbloods could be different than what they've traditionally done. Just that, like, these don't become what they're doing with Night Rain, and this isn't the standard what they do going forward. That's all I care about. Ramon says, I'd be willing to bet this new cartridge thing will take a swing at the used market, 1 license per account. So that that's something that Microsoft tried to implement back in 2013, and that was met with a huge backlash. I would think that Nintendo probably would not be willing to kind of do that, because although a lot of the things that Xbox was trying to implement 12 years ago was poo-pooed and was not received well, a lot of those things are now standard in the gaming industry today. And so it seems like Xbox was just way too ahead of the curve in those aspects. But that in particular is something that has not been adopted. And so I think, they did sell their fan base cardboard, but not being able to sell your cartridges, especially considering that Nintendo games hold a high value. Like, I mean, again, I wouldn't put it past Nintendo. I just think that they may be smart enough not to realize that that's going to be a L, and the public sentiment is going to turn on them if they do that. What else, you guys? Is that it? Cool. I need to eat lunch. I haven't had anything to eat yet. So, again, as I said, I give the show an 8 out of 10. I want to see more. I think if you were looking for Xbox games there weren't none, but that doesn't guarantee that there won't be. The pricing is not great at all. And I would say vote with your wallet. You know, people say that all the time, but they don't actually do it. Do that. Like for myself, I'm not buying a Switch 2 at launch. I'm not buying a Switch 2 until I see Fire Emblem. People think I'm capping. They're going to realize when I don't have one, I was not capping. If you really feel like the pricing is not worth what they're pricing things as, and of course, Nintendo needs to clarify that the majority of the games are going to be 70 digital, but still being 80 physical. If you were going to buy it physical and you don't like that pricing, well, you know what to do. You don't buy a damn game. If you hit them in the wallet, that's when things change. But if if these games sell like crazy at that pricing, just understand the way this works. Nothing will change. The pricing, and they will stay where they are. So then, typically with physical games, right? Especially on the resale, market, you go into a GameStop, you can get an older game for cheaper, but brand new, you don't really see prices drop like that with Nintendo games. They hold their value very well. But Brian says people gonna forget about the ABK glazing. Forte, Gaming Forte, what's up, bro?
Yoshi here.
Oh boy.
How did you enjoy the Nintendo Direct, sir? First of all, I want to say this. Shout out to Nintendo for the first item that you saw at the reveal was a picture of me. That was the first one that they showed, and I am so happy and so proud of the piece of hardware that we put out there. And I know a lot of people are upset. Prices are going up. The system isn't the price that a lot of people thought it was going to be, except for the one person on the whole, I think on the whole entire world that just knew that the system was going to be, $449 and $450 and $499. But that needs to say. But I just wanted to say this. I appreciate all of you guys out there that's going to give me your money, and you guys are going to have a great time, talking about that. But I just wanted to say that before Forte came in here and let you guys know that we appreciate you. Nintendo is nothing without you, and we make childhoods better. But thank you, and we appreciate you guys.
And that was Yoshi.
What's going on, bro?
Thank you, Yoshi, for coming in and taking time out of his busy schedule of sticking up little kids' pockets to come in and give us his 2-piece. What's up, man?
What's up, man?
How'd you like the show, man?
Oh man, listen, I gave the show was awesome. It was great. I gave it a 9 out of 10, mostly due. I gave it a downgrade due to the fact that billion-dollar companies shouldn't have technical difficulties when it comes to their show.
Oh, and, the stream cap. Like, come on, Nintendo, what are we doing here?
Well, I mean, we're a billion-dollar company. I mean, listen, we can't be having off syncs and video problems in the middle of streams, especially when they're not going to have any other stream that's more important than this one today. And
right.
That was a nail. So
did you know? Because I was trying to record it, and so as I was recording it on my computer, but watching it because I could remember I had to drop my kids off at school. The stream started at 9. I couldn't drop my son off until 9:05. They won't even allow him into the school until then. So I'm watching it from my phone and then kind of had my phone on the little, the dashboard as I was driving home and kind of listening as I'm driving home. And so I started the recording of the stream on my computer well after it started, 20 minutes late, right? So it wasn't finished as soon. I think due to the technical difficulties, they removed the live stream and then re-uploaded it. So this is why it took a little bit longer for me to go live, because I had to re-record it. And so I didn't even get the whole thing. I only got 47 minutes out of the full hour. But technical difficulties. No one else has those kind of issues.
No, nobody has them. But I think the show is great. So I have to ask you this, sir. Though, I'm gonna gloat. I'm gonna do some gloating too in a minute, but I'm gonna ask you this first.
I kind of feel like you knew the prices.
From software.
You ain't gonna answer the question, huh? So you knew it was gonna be $450?
What are you talking? I didn't know anything.
Oh, you liar. No, wait,
I know nothing.
I tell you, I hear things. And you know what? I'll be like, oh man, I got this information no one else got. I ain't gonna go live with it because I ain't gonna, hurt the people that told me those things. Because if I go live with it and it go viral, then some people might lose their jobs. But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and tell my homie Forte.
No.
Because I know Forte won't tell no one else, and we can just discuss these things amongst ourselves.
No, okay.
But you out here knowing the prices of the Switch 2, you yesterday, if you knew what it was, and your ass lied to me.
I didn't lie. Why? I told you $559 yesterday.
Friend, you love to hear the information I give you, but don't give nothing.
No. Hold on. You said I told you $559 yesterday. I didn't tell you
right.
I told you $559.
But like, the last couple of DPS podcasts.
Like the last
what did you say the price is going to be?
I said it's going to be $449, and if they do a bundle, it's going to be $449 and $500. If the Mario Kart would be the $500.
So you got the pricing right. Because you knew the prices. No, I didn't. Mr. GameStop manager.
No, I didn't. Well, listen, I know it. Listen. I know it seems.
Yes, Ryan. The disrespect.
No, listen. I know it looks bad because guess what? I was right about
it is.
I was right about the PS5 Pro too when I told everybody it was gonna be $700.
Because you knew the prices. Because you work at GameStop.
No, I don't know. Listen, trust me. I don't know. I just go off. Listen.
So you always seem to know what the price of the hardware is. You work as a GameStop manager. You can look at the back end, or you can go talk to some higher ups at GameStop who already know this information. You seem to always be right about it, but I just guess right.
I did. I just guessed right.
I put the poll up. I'm gonna ask the chat.
I didn't know that physical Switch games are going to be $90. I was shocked. About that. No, seriously, no lie. This is just me knowing how much stuff sells for. Like, I told you exactly why I felt like it was going to be that price. It's not going to be $400 because they're unless they announce something later.
There's a poll up. Does Forte know the prices of video game hardware and lying about it? Go ahead and vote right there. If you would like to give your opinion on that. So far, it's 100% yes.
Okay.
You do know the prices. You lying.
Okay, I wish I did. I love the fact that everybody thinks I'm lying about. I lied and just didn't tell people when I just had a very, very good educated guess about the situation. Like, why would you? This is the thing. Why would you argue with someone that sells the product for a living?
Oh, that is wrong, Gregor. Don't do that. Don't do that.
What did Gregor do?
He don't need he can call someone at game and higher up at GameStop, and they can tell him he ain't gotta read it. Gregor said, "I'm confused by the poll because it implies Forte can read," which that's just mean. But also, someone could just verbally tell you, and your very inconsistent reading abilities would not need to be necessary.
But the question is, this is the question about that though, or the theory around that. If that was the case and we could just go out and find that information, why didn't anybody come out and say it then? Why hasn't this been leaked or rumored? Or everybody was rumoring 400. Nobody was saying 450. Nobody was saying 500.
I saw a few people saying 450.
A few.
Shout out to Kay Asante predicted 450. I know a few other people who predicted 450. I wonder why
Kay Asante said 450. It's because it's common sense. because
No, it's not.
it is common sense.
Common sense.
No, because they're not okay. There is not a big enough like a iterative update to the Switch 2 to the Switch 2 would be like $50, like something that isn't like. Okay, so the Switch 2 is still $349. The reason it's still $349 is because it's a weaker system and it has an OLED screen. So it has better screen technology, but weaker hardware. But the screen technology is going to keep it at $350. They're not going to release a brand new system $50 more than the previous system. There's going to be a gap in there because this thing like this.
But if you recall, like when we talked about this before,
yeah,
I thought it was going to be $399 contingent on the Switch OLED, the Switch One OLED going down to $299,
and I told you that, and I told you that's the only way it would be $399 is if they drop the Switch OLED by $50.
Yeah. What they're doing is too close. Like, it's too much of a jump over what the Switch One provided as far as all features and better performance.
Yeah,
compared to have only a $50 difference.
Right.
As I was watching the stream, I was like, "Yo, this is actually a lot of like improvements." For the hardware, and I'm like, yeah, that $399. Like I was saying it to myself, that $399 ain't gonna be, especially if they're not dropping the price of the Switch OLED, which clearly they're not. They're not going. It's still gonna be $350 from now until they finally stop.
Until they stop production on it. And that was the only reason I ran. Now I could have been 100%. You could have been 100% right if they would have came out.
Ryan Landis said seriously, Ryan Landis says that the Wii U was $300 when the Switch came out at $300. But here's the difference between that and now, Ryan Landis. The Wii U was an unmitigated failure. It was the worst Nintendo hardware performance ever. And so they had no choice but to release the Switch at $300. They couldn't go higher than that simply because and actually the hardware wasn't worth more. I mean, because Nintendo is always about making a profit at launch. So like that at $450, they are making a profit, which makes sense. The APU, as I said earlier, the APU inside of this Switch 2 is a RTX 2000 series architecture. That's from 2018. So a 7-year-old NVIDIA architecture is what's powering this. That's cheap.
Yeah.
It is a cheap APU that just has very much superior technology and software compared to AMD. So therefore, what we see with upscaling with PlayStation and Xbox is going to be better with Nintendo Switch, typically simply because NVIDIA is involved in that AMD.
Yeah.
But that said, they're making a profit at launch off of this off rip. And they're just providing, better things. Look, they showed the little cooling system inside the dock.
Inside the dock.
As I've seen these things, that the cheap trash dock they got with the Switch One ain't got nothing like that.
Dog,
you could probably make a dock with a 3D printer that's better than the dock that they got on the Switch One.
They sell all the third-party docks are all sold for like $29.
Yeah, it's you're not getting that for $29. So it's just like it actually is $110. To buy the dock separately. So when I saw all this, I was like, yeah, this is too much to make it $400 based off of where they could make it $400
if they
and still probably break even.
They ain't doing that though.
But they won't. They ain't doing that. They're making a profit at launch.
They know people gonna pay for it.
Right.
Yep. It took $90 games.
What did you think about? What did you think about them having a welcome tour tutorial of the that's paid, a paid tutorial? What do you think about that?
I was like, I thought it was gonna be a pack-in, and then they said a pay. I was like, paid. I was like,
paid to learn how to use this.
To learn how to use the system. I said only
Nintendo going to Nintendo. Nintendo going to Nintendo. That is ridiculous.
No, that was pretty ridiculous. I was sitting there like, that's ridiculous. Like I said, it started out.
What do you also think about the Joy-Con 2s all still not having Hall effect thumbsticks?
I mean, unless you want that system to be $500 base, the Joy-Cons are
No,
already
Hall
$89.
Effect is cheap now. Hall Effect is. I got a $30 controller. I have a Game Sir. I think this is the G7. I'm holding it right now.
Yeah.
This controller was $30. Hall Effect
Yeah.
thumbsticks. They're cheap now.
No,
There
I
is
agree.
like
no
people
reason
think
for it
Hall
not
Effect
to.
is expensive, but Hall Effect isn't even brand new. The Dreamcast controllers had Hall Effect. Believe it or not, like Hall Effect is now. These are better versions of Hall Effect, but when you have third-party controllers that you could use on a regular Nintendo Switch or PC or an Xbox, and unfortunately now PlayStation, because PlayStation unlocked that whole part of accessories down. But when you could get a cheap controller that's better than the Xbox Elite controller at this point for like $50, I don't want to hear we couldn't put Hall Effect in these Joy-Con 2s. They full of shit. What
No,
they
they
want
could've.
they want the stick to drift because
Yes,
they
they
want
do.
you to buy more Joy-Con
For $89.99
more money. Right.
a pair. And I was going to say that.
That's crazy.
It is
$90
crazy.
for Joy-Con.
I knew they were going to be more too, because everybody's like, no, they're not going to be more. They're going to be probably the same prices. I said, bro, the Switch Joy-Cons now are $70. These are going to be $10 more because they're bigger. It got more features. You're lucky Nintendo ain't charge you $100 for the pair.
Well, guaranteed the special edition ones.
Oh, they'll
like
be
when they
100.
drop. Yeah. With like they're gonna come out with a Metroid Prime 4 Joy-Con, special edition Joy-Con. That's gonna be $100.
Just like they did with
they'll come out with a Ghost Bloods. That Ghost Bloods. Good grief. Dust Blood.
Yeah.
Dust Blood Joy-Cons. That's gonna be $100.
Speaking
Mario
of-
Kart Joy-Con, $100. They're gonna do that. The only ones that's gonna be $90 is the basic, like, hey, here's a solid pink color.
Solid pink, red and blue, like the ones they have now.
Right. Yeah, like your ones where it's not that big a deal. Those are gonna be the ones that's not gonna be 90.
Man, so
Oh, hold on. Yobi says, bro, I was a 8-bit duo controller with Hall Effect and a Sport Red Xbox One controller that I only use for my Xbox, and another 8-bit controller I use for my PC and Switch. Yeah, those 8-bit makes good controller. I actually just bought the 8-bit duo Ultimate 2, which doesn't have Hall Effect sticks, has the what do they call it? ERB sticks, which are like a technology that's even better than Hall Effect. So it's like the mix between Hall Effect and I forgot the other name of the other technology that the stick drifts all the time. Hall Effect is better because it doesn't have stick drift and it still has pretty good accuracy. But the other thumbsticks they put in like the Xbox controller and in the DualSense has a more accurate curve. So the accuracy is better, but the problem is that they wear out over time, and then the accuracy goes to trash because because of the stick drift.
yeah.
Hall Effect's better because it doesn't get the stick, or it's harder to get stick drift in Hall Effect. These other ones, the ERB thumbsticks, they have better accuracy than Hall Effect, and they also don't get stick drift. Like like your standard thumbsticks from standard controllers, and the new 8-bit Duo Ultimate 2 has those. Those are expensive. Now those are expensive, and I don't expect to see those in standard controllers. But Hall Effect is cheap, so Nintendo has no excuse. By the way, that I agree with Ryan. That camera is going to cause some problems.
Oh yeah, bro. The Uno parties
be
are coming
having
back.
game chats, and people gonna be live streaming some interesting content.
Yeah. Uno. Remember Uno?
It's gonna be some duos. It's gonna be some Uno stuff too.
Some the Uno parties.
It's gonna be some Uno content. It's gonna be some duo content. Dose content.
So
maybe even some Quattro content going on.
Oh man,
People gonna be wilding. Nintendo didn't open the can of worms. They may not. They may not. They didn't learn the lesson that was it PlayStation? Yeah, remember when PlayStation first started doing stuff like that, and people started doing live streaming themselves, doing all kinds of bad things. They had to shut that down real fast. But
Mario, man, there's so much good stuff that they showed at that thing. Let me
shut down the poll. The
Yeah,
poll is done. 85% of the viewers believe that you are lying and you have inside information on hardware that you are not sharing with your boy, which is just, messed up. And the 15% actually believe your lies. All right, go ahead.
Whatever. So what did you, so being a FromSoft fan, what did you think of an exclusive game for Switch?
I thought that was amazing because exclusives sell hardware. Unlike the words of people who champion platforms that don't have exclusives that can sell hardware, or people who work for these platforms and can't create exclusives that sell hardware. Exclusives do indeed sell hardware, and they are worth investing in, and Nintendo is proving it.
So how long are you going to wait to play that game?
So I said this earlier. You may not have been listening. I'm still not buying a Switch 2 at launch.
I heard that because you're stuck on this Fire Emblem thing.
Because Fire Emblem is fire.
It is fire.
But the case, Dust Bloods isn't coming out till next year.
Right.
Sometime next year. We don't even know the date. It could
so
be.
It gives them time to announce a Fire Emblem for you.
Right, but if Dust Bloods comes out in say September 2026, and there still isn't a Fire Emblem, I'm buying the Switch 2.
Haha, let's go. I knew it. I knew there was another game that would make you do it. I didn't expect it to be a FromSoft game, but
I didn't expect to see a FromSoft game be exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2. Like, that was definitely not on my
your bingo card.
My bingo card whatsoever. So I did not think that was going to be possible. Ramon says Fire Emblem is for slow-mo what Zelda is for me. But yeah, look, yeah, I get that. Like, a lot of people, you see a Zelda game, I'm buying it. And I think that's for a lot of Nintendo's exclusive titles. Zelda, Mario, Pokemon. People see those games and they say, I gotta get this hardware for that because I gotta play that. For me, Fire Emblem. It's just Fire Emblem. All the other games, I do not have zero interest in playing, none. But Fire Emblem, that's it.
You don't want to play. Borderlands 4 on the go.
No, because
Randy Pitchford with his bright jacket on, shiny jacket.
Yeah, I'm buying that on PC, and
why not buy it in both places?
Well, because I also have I have a Logitech G Cloud, and I can if I wanted to play it in handheld, somewhere else, more than likely I'm in a place, and yeah, this ain't a flex, but it's just it's what it is. I only really kind of use stuff like that when I'm on vacation. And I'm away from home, so it's not a staycation, but like a vacation where I go out of town. And I always make sure that we go to like an Airbnb or wherever I go on vacation, that I have good high speed broadband internet available, and I will bring a Logitech G Cloud, and I will connect to GeForce Now, or I'll do the Steam streaming, and I'm good to go. I'm a network engineer. I set up VPNs in my sleep. If I felt like it, if I actually might do this summer just to play around with it, I'll set up a VPN here in my house, and I actually VPN specifically for this, move my my PC to a different subnet specifically for that VPN to give it its own bandwidth within the network, and then I'll go ahead and set up a VPN for me to use while I'm away. But that's just me, and that's what I could do if I felt like it. But I playing Borderlands, nah. I mean, like I want to play Borderlands. One, I don't like how they reverse the A and B button. So for me, for a lot of like multiplayer, like third party games, if I have the choice, yeah, that muscle memory will annoy the hell out of me, and I'm just better off just playing it where I see fit. Although having then this gets into like, so having the Switch Pro 2 controller have back buttons is awesome, and I'll definitely, when I do finally get one, I'll probably be getting a Switch Pro 2 controller, because unless I find a third party one that does Hall effect, which I probably will, but whatever, I could just assign the buttons that are reversed to the back paddles, and that'll be just fine for me. But yeah, I just would prefer being on PC, because better frames, better visuals, you know, all that good stuff. The Switch for me, Nintendo hardware for me is about their exclusives, and that's it.
I agree with that. It's the main reason.
All right, but
Final Fantasy 7 remake.
Let's talk about that real quick. Let's let this leave be the last thing we talk about before we get out of here. How does it feel? How in the world? Everybody have Final Fantasy 7 remake except for Xbox. Literally everyone.
It's gonna be temporary. Temporarily, everybody.
You say that.
No, I think we don't. I mean, well, listen, we don't know. You're right. It is weird, but I do think it's just the fact that they're giving Nintendo the spotlight right now due to the fact that they're releasing a console. The console doesn't come out to June 5th. Xbox's showcase is probably usually it's the second week of June, which is going to be the week after this releases. Final Fantasy probably isn't a launch title for it. It might be a launch window.
Yeah, let me go find that out, because like Cyberpunk is releasing on the Switch 2 at launch. It's literally the same day launch.
So it's a good chance that Xbox I'm saying it might be a good chance that Xbox during their showcase is going to announce the Final Fantasy 7 remake coming to Xbox during their showcase. This is so close, but it is still kind of weird because usually they don't usually care. Like, you know, they say, hey, you can have the actual announcement, but then the publisher or developer will come out and tweet and say something like, you know, very happy to bring this game to the Switch 2. Here's all the other platforms that the game is coming to, and or Xbox or somebody will tweet that. And the fact that it wasn't lets you kind of know that either A, it's not coming, or B, more likely B, that is something that they're just giving Nintendo their little runway to talk about it until. I mean,
we still have the June showcase for Xbox, and it could very well show up there. It could be, and I just looked. I don't see anyone that has set a release date for FF7 Remake Integrate, which is the version that comes with the intermission DLC as well. So there's no current launch release date. If that is the case, more than likely it's not June 5th, which is the launch of the Switch 2, and the Xbox showcase is going to be a week later.
Yeah.
So it could very well be shown at the Xbox showcase, and then like the release date for both Switch and Xbox could be the same day sometime this year. So we'll have to see. But anything else you want to say about this before we get out of here? I need to eat, and I gotta take care of some things for work.
No, that's it, man. We'll talk about it more tomorrow on DPS, and then throughout the next couple of weeks.
Which we may tentatively be having the return of Mr. Eric Jackson. joining us tomorrow. So hopefully, you know, everything is good on the family side with him. He doesn't have any kind of setbacks, and he'll be able to join us and give his opinions on things. We haven't had him on the show in a good while, so we do miss Eric and his excellent gaming opinions on things. So we'll have to see. But I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction stream. I hope you guys have a great rest of your hump day, and peace out.
Hump day.